I'm just a woman. Help me believe in what I could be and all that I am. Oh, show me the stairway that I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take.
Introducing Your Trauma Talks, an incredible new series that brings live conversations with individuals who share your resilience and understand your story. Join us as we dive deep into the realm of mental health, exposing the truth behind the challenges these remarkable individuals have faced. Discover how you have overcome adversity as these incredible souls take the stage in New York City, sharing their inspiring stories with everyone. Experience the power of Your Trauma Talks on Trauma Talks Thursdays, live as we bring you face to face with individuals who have triumphed over their trauma and come out stronger on the other side. Hear their raw and honest accounts of their struggles and how they have found healing and hope in the midst of pain. Don't miss out on this rare opportunity to connect with those who truly understand what you are going through. Join us for an unforgettable evening every Thursday of sharing, support, and solidarity as we come together to break the stigma surrounding mental health. Experience the magic of Your Trauma Talks live in New York City, where compassion and courage converge to create a space of healing and empowerment. It's time to speak up, listen, and learn from those who have walked a similar path. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 52 of Trauma Talk Thursdays. Wow, we made it 1 year. Can you believe this? An idea that trickled into your mind. It's given to you by the divine, and you have to take action. You just can't sit on it. And this is what happens. And so far, we have bring you all some amazing, all my amazing rasters. We have brought you all some amazing, amazing stories. It's the struggles, the resilience of all these beautiful souls that have endured something similar to the path you walk. You all know this is raw, and we love to bring it so that we tell you every week, week after week, that you have to believe in you. You have to be grateful for yourself. As we tell you all, give yourself a pat on the back for bringing yourself from yesterday to today. As I give myself a pat on the back. Hey, Ra, we did 1 year, 52 episodes completing today of Trauma Talk Thursdays, where we had amazing guests. The first guest is none other than Brittany Purr herself, who opened up by coming out and telling you all her stories of the past, her stories of resilience that created that strong individual that comes out here week after week with Raw to host Trauma Talk Thursdays. We had some amazing past guests, just like my guest tonight, who is sitting backstage. And let me tell you, I call her the Lady in Red. I met her in Paris in 2022, and we connected. Let me tell you something. I have learned so much from this beautiful young woman sitting backstage, eagerly waiting to come up and grace this stage for all of you to hear her story as she answers some amazing questions for you. I'm sure if it doesn't resonate with you, someone in your life may be going through something and they would need to hear it. So right now, don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. As I do this right now, without further ado, bring it up. You know who? My favorite, my best friend, Brittany Purr. Hey, Brittany, how are you?
Doing good, Raw. Thank you for having me here. And oh my gosh, a year already. This is incredible. Whew. I'm just like, wait, when did that happen? It snuck up on me.
We just kept it going. The flow just flowed. Wow, it's beautiful. And I want to thank you for me throwing this idea out to you. And not only by throwing the idea out to you, I ask you to be that first person. And that means a lot to me. Like I said, when I started your life experiences with Raw 6.5 years, almost 7 years ago, I had no one. There were many people I spoke to about the show and what I'm about to do. And I told them, and they were excited. They will tell their story. When that minute reached, they did not. They were scared. They backed out until this one friend I have, Cindy, she said, Ra, I will do that. Do you know my story? I was like, no. And she goes like, let me tell you my story. She told her story. It's a very first story of being in a domestic violent relationship and having to end it with a busted retina, you know, and having two daughters in the mix of it as well. And she stepped up. So the first person always open the doors for you. And when that door open, you do not look back. You just keep going. And look what I am today. As I said, I met Dr. Pat, our amazing guest backstage in Paris, if it wasn't for this journey that I took upon me. So, Britt, I love to give you the stage and you can talk for 5 minutes about what's been going on or bring your inspiration. So it's all yours.
Whew. Well, it is definitely quite a time to be alive. And that statement will probably not get old anytime soon. But there's multiple things. And I'm going to start this with there are ways to begin to see who is for you and who isn't. And with this dichotomy of figuring out who is for you and who isn't, which is what Ross started out with, like who is going to step up to share their story and create that flow, that momentum, that inertia to continue to inspire others to share their stories. And it's the same thing as with people who are for you. Like they will show you who they are. And when they do, believe them. And then there's other aspects where you might not have the perfect person that is, there for you, there to support you, vice versa, because you need to support and give as well. That's flow, right? Give and take as needed when you each need support within your community, within your friends groups, within your peers. And sometimes something that I've seen lately is a lot of people almost attacking those people that are really for them instead of, okay, I see your strengths and I see your weaknesses. Let's amplify your strengths and let's shore up those weaknesses. And maybe I can be the person that steps up in lieu of this weakness. And maybe I can be the change in the world that I want to see this person doing. And when you step into that space of allowing yourself to be the change in the world that you are demanding, that is powerful because you're the one who sees the need. It's on your heart. It's within your passion. It's within usually your ability to do it. And I see so many people just being like, well, that person should have done this. And it's like, you get to fill that need because that person has their own passions, has their own course, has their own life journey and divine appointment with what it is that they are meant to do. But if it's on your heart, do it as much as you can, which brings me to the second part of unpacking something that I've been picking up lately. When we step up and begin to step into that space, a lot of times we're dissuaded in multiple different ways. And a lot of times I hear people say, money. They need money. And it's time that we start taking that idea of my way or the highway and start opening up to the divine opportunities that are available to us. And they are always available when we connect with community, when we connect with, hey, well, I need money to do this. Well, do you really have to do that? Or is there another way that you can make this happen without money? Maybe it's connecting with the right people. Maybe it's inspiring the right people that you are connected with. Maybe it's seeing things in a different way and using a grassroots advantage. Whatever it is, it's time to kind of step out of that comfort zone of letting one way be the only way, because the possibilities are endless. There are so many possibilities available to us if we're just willing to see it and run it by our value system to see if that opportunity might work for us, or does it conflict with your values and you're going to regret it at the end of the day. It's another thing to look at. But if you kind of run across your values and are like, this doesn't really conflict with my values, and this is something that needs to happen in the world, or something that you need to get done, or something that you need to have, then there are opportunities available. It's just a matter of figuring that out and not limiting yourself to this one way or the highway, or it's not going to happen, or that person needs to do it because I can't. We are all powerful in so many different ways. And sometimes it is just connecting with the right people to mutually amplify each other. Like Ra asking me to do this is one of those examples. And I am forever grateful for Ra creating this platform, stepping up every single day. Like every single day, he's working on this. He's working on the live production that is going to happen very soon. It's coming really quickly. So if you are a speaker, please message us on how you can get signed up. We'll probably plug that link a little later. But without Ra stepping up, regardless of financial income, regardless of the struggles, regardless of whatever is happening in his life, he has chosen to step up and put all of that aside and remain committed and connected to everyone who is here. And I want to thank you all, our community, for being here and for stepping up and making this a night, or whether you're listening to this, the recorded version of this. We thank you for being here for us. And that is how community works. That is how we make this happen. And please take a chance to share this with someone that you know needs to hear these stories of resilience, because there are so many people out there that really need this right now. But once again, without Ra stepping up and not letting any of the shoulda, woulda, coulda, if I only had, get in his way, he doesn't. And I'm so proud of him. And I'm so thankful and grateful to be here with him through this. So, Ra, come back up, because I love you. I appreciate you. And thank you so much for doing this. And to our community as well. I see Sweetie. I see Asian supporting mental health. I see Robert Pauline, Eva Miss, Donna Marie, Chandra, Tamra, Viva, Midnight Queen, and everyone else who is listening who hasn't commented. Shout out to Jenny, who is traveling today. May she get to her destination safely. We love you all, and thank you for being part of our community.
Thank you so much, Brittany. You couldn't have said it better than me, and that is all the truth. And thank you so much. And yes, every one of you who have been here with us, all Brittany's Obscuram nights and Ra's rosters. If you're on Facebook Live, Instagram, if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, any one of our channels, you're on listening on the podcast, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, on TuneIn, wherever podcast is, and you happen to stumble across this, I want you to know that you are not alone. And the reason we do this week after week is for you to hear the story of others Not that we're putting someone's business out there, but you can understand when you hear certain aspects of their story and you can relate to that, to know, hey, at some point in time, you were stuck because of those reasons, whether it's a relationship, whether it's betrayal by a family member or a friend or your boss or whatever, a work trauma. You put it together to know it's all temporary and it will pass. All right. So, Britt, you know what we'll do at this time? I think we have this little beautiful little thing I have here for our amazing guest. Let's play that to introduce our guest and bring her up. It's about time.
Dr. Patricia Rogers is the CEO of Unity in Service, Inc. She is a retired corrections lieutenant with 29 years in law enforcement, and she trained thousands of employees to excel in their careers. She is a 12-year veteran of the United States Army, and she is also a graduate of St. Thomas University. Dr. Rogers discovered her gifts and talents and turned them into a business, and she has positioned herself as a visibility strategist. Dr. Rogers is a 2 times winning international public speaker, international best-selling author, and business coach, as well as virtual. I give to you all the lady in red, Dr. Patricia Rogers.
Quitting, ladies and gentlemen, it's never, ever an option. I can't laugh. Don't make me laugh tonight because I'm going to start coughing. Oh my God. You something else. I love that video clip. You something else, Rob.
Welcome, Dr. Pat.
Unbelievable.
How are you doing tonight, Dr. Pat?
I'm here. I'm blessed. I'm alive and well. Thank you for having me on the show. Yeah, so I'm here, and we're going to go ahead and rock this platform and share some inspiring words of wisdom, words of inspiration that we hope will inspire others to continue on their journey, their success journey, because challenges sets the platform for our success. And I'm sure that many of us have been mistreated. I'm sure many of us have had things come up unexpectedly that certainly wanted to make us quit, not just quit, but quit life. But we know that we were called to serve, and we was called for a purpose. And when we believe in a God that's greater than us, a power greater than ourselves, then of course we know that all things will come into fruition because we are connected to the power source. And I choose to call him God, my Father, Abba, all the above for me. And then, of course, I want people to understand that when they are being challenged, that fear comes in, and fear it sets a platform. It sets those emotions going to the extent that you do want to quit, or you're afraid because you don't know what's coming. Well, on that note, guess what? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, it's not the substance of things not seen. So when you're at a crossroad and you don't know what's going to happen, you have to take that next step and trust the process, because in the end, we may not see what it looks like at that moment. It's not what it is. It's not what it is. We got to remember that it's not the final outcome. And as long as we're breathing and getting up every morning, we always have a chance to start over again. And lastly, I just want to say on this note, before I share my story, because all that kind of ties into my story, my traumatic story, and is that people fail on this journey of life, not because of a lack of desire, but people fail because of a lack of commitment. And I heard Brittany say that about you, that you are committed no matter what happens, you still get up, you suit up and show up. So kudos to you, my friend and my brother. And I'm going to just share a little bit about my journey. And I would like, it was my traumatic journey. And I'm sure other people can relate. Basically, when you're working for the corporate arena, we call it politics in the workplace. And as a young girl, I was in the military, 12 years in the reserves. And during the time I was in the reserves, I landed my career in Miami-Dade Corrections. And of course, I worked as a correction officer. But when I went into the organization, we went through training. I was selected to be the class leader for that class of 43 recruits. So that means if I was selected out of 43 recruits, that means that my light was already shining and somebody already saw my gifts and talents. So of course we went through that 6-month training, and I graduated with honors in that program. And then we went into the organization, and I went in as a correction officer. And that time you do your probation and all of that. So I did all of that. And then we can take the tests to promote to the next level of success, which would be a corpus exam. And I didn't take that test right away because I was in a cushiony spot, what we call a cushiony spot. So 8 years into my career, I decided to take the corpus exam. Why? Because I felt like I said, I want to make more money. So I took the corpus exam and I passed the exam. But after 8 years in the organization, of course, I'm going to say this, I had stepped on some toes. I had a couple of sexual harassment cases I filed against a couple of supervisors, and that's something you don't do. But I didn't know all of that. I was young. But I knew that I had rights. So, of course, I had taken the test. I passed the test. And when my name came up on the promotional list, I was arbitrarily passed over. And of course, after doing some research, I realized where it stemmed from. And it was from one of the supervisors who was in a higher authority position. So he had control over some of that stuff, or he had control over those circumstances. And I was passed over. But at any rate, we have rights. And when I read my policies and procedures to take the test, I learned that employees had rights. So, of course, I took that test. And like I said, I passed it. And when they passed over me, because of the rules that's in the book, the policy procedures, I was able to stand up for my rights. And what I did was a door of opportunity opened up for me. I didn't do what the rules were in the book, but a door of opportunity opened up for me. And I went before the Board of County Commissioners on national television to plead my case. I superseded in that. And of course, they had to promote me. They told them, you get it right. And then, of course, I was promoted with back pay and all of that. And then the next 4 years, I decided to take the sergeant's exam. And of course, I was still being targeted. People were still mad at the top. So, of course, they got me again. I took the sergeant's test. I came out in the top 10 percentile. And of course, I was arbitrarily, randomly passed over again. So I did what I did before. I stood up for my rights. I had rights, and I stood up for them against those administrators who made that decision. And of course, I superseded in that, and I was promoted to sergeant, and with back pay, of course. So this is one of those challenges that I had. And I'm going to say why that's a traumatic situation for me, because during those times, while I was under all of that stress, and what happened, the department, there are people in the department, they'll write you up just to hold up your promotion. And it doesn't have to be true. As long as you have something on writing, it's supposed to hold up your promotion. That was their intent. But what God's intent was, the policy didn't say that you can do that. The policy said you cannot hold up an employee's promotion based on a disciplinary action that is in appeal. So when you wrote me up, I put it in appeal. So guess what? You got to know what the book says. It's in the book. And of course, with that, I won every case. And basically, that was where the trauma came from. When they write you up and people lie on you and they talk about you and they mistreat you because they're in a position of authority, that can mess with your mind. That can mess with your heart. That can mess you up, period. And what happened was, I saw many of the employees that went through a lot of things in the organization. There was one guy that blew his brains out one night. He went to lunch in the county van, and he took his gun and he blew his brains out. I saw people quit before their retirement came, which means they gave up their livelihood because they couldn't take the pressure. But God was with me all the way. My life was predestined by God. He gave me that job, and I felt as long as you can stay here, I can too. That was my thinking. And I know that God is real. And I stood fast on that job. I was promoted. And then, of course, after all of that transpired, like I said, I believed that God had my back, and I stuck and I stayed. Quitting, ladies and gentlemen, is not an option. Quitting is not an option. There are always rules to the game. And if you follow the rules, trust me when I tell you, God is going to see you through. And of course, after that, my goal was to retire as a corrections lieutenant. And it was time to take the lieutenant's test. And of course, because I was coming up on my retirement, and of course, I was scared. I was afraid. I didn't want to take the test. I didn't study. And I was sitting at my desk 2 weeks before the time to take the lieutenant's test. And I wasn't prepared for the test because I had made up my mind I wasn't going to take it. And I was tired of them passing over me. Two of my sergeant colleagues walked up to my desk and said, Sergeant Rogers, are you going to take the lieutenant's test? I said, nope, I'm not taking it because I didn't study and I'm sick of them passing over me. They said, well, we didn't study either, Rogers. Come on, let's just go down there and take it and see what happened. So on that note, like I said in the beginning, challenges sets the platform for our success. And I took the test based on them. Those girls were my angel. And I took the test, ladies and gentlemen. I want you to know I came out in the top 5 percentile. And of course, again, y'all know what happened. But I stood up for my rights. And of course, I fought the system based on the policies and procedures. And I want you all to know that I retired in 2016. I retired as a corrections lieutenant, which was my goal. I had to stand some tests and trials, but I know too that those things is what set us up for today. And this is a story that I didn't tell at one time, but I like to tell it because sometimes people are going through things and they don't understand why. You don't have to understand why you're going through what you're going through. Just go through it at the moment, because trust me when I tell you, it takes that in order for God to develop you, in order for him to catapult you to the next dimension in your life. And today I'm living my best life. I retired in 2016, and as an entrepreneur, I knew I wasn't going back to work for anybody. So I found out what the entrepreneurs was doing, started networking and all of that. And I discovered my gifts and my talents, which is bringing people together. And I have been hosting virtual events since the pandemic. Prior to the pandemic, I've hosted 6 annual conferences, live conferences at hotels, and public speakers come in to speak. And of course, vendors showcase their products and services. And of course, we have expert panelists. And that is my zone of genius, hosting events, in person and virtual events. And of course, we're still hosting virtual events. We've hosted over about 100 or so on this platform or more since the pandemic. And then, of course, I have opened another door, or was open for me, and I began to teach people how to host virtual events. So that pays money, because public speaking, ladies and gentlemen, is an investment in your business. So those of you who don't know that, it is an investment. There are some free, but there are some for a fee. So when you get it for free, that's a good deal. But remember, all the work that we put into these events are definitely worthy of pay. And so behind me, we have an event coming up in Atlanta, Georgia. And we have, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We're going to have over 100 some odd people at that event, over 30 some odd vendors, and we are going to rock and roll. And Raul is one of our speakers. But I just want you all to know that Dade County, all of the trauma I went through about that test and passing over, and I even passed out on the job one day, just high blood pressure, and they had to rush me to the emergency. It's just so much. But you know what? Look at me today. Look at me now. Who would have ever thought that I have a following of people who love me so much when they tried to make me think I didn't count, because they saw my glory, so they wanted to hold me back. They wanted to hold me down. So sometimes the things that we go through in life is because people see the good in you. They see that you have gifts and values, and they don't want you to outshine them. So what do? They try to set traps for you. But one thing I can say, whatever is for you is for you. And I want to say thank you to all of my followers. I heard Tamara's name. I know she's listening. All of my followers who was able to jump on tonight, all of those who are not. I thank God for all the people, including you, Raul, that God has put into my life. Because truly, I love sharing information. I love teaching, and I love edifying other people. And I so appreciate you all for having me on this platform. And in my closing, I want to say, had I not stuck and stayed through all the challenges, I wouldn't be here today. And I want to say that Miami-Dade County Department of Corrections, Florida Retirement System, pays me a salary of 6 figures. And that's not to brag, but it is to brag, because I could have been 6 feet under had I broke under the pressure that they was putting on me. And my Florida Retirement System pays me 6-figure salary, and I get a 3% increase annually. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm living my best life. I make more now than I made when I was working. I've also developed my skills to the point that I am a certified a certified business coach. I am also a 2-time winning public speaker. I am a 2-time international bestseller, and I'm getting ready to promote another book with 25 authors in that book, and we're going to make some people authors. I've been in my share of collaboration books, and I've had the experience of writing my own book that has gone international, and now I want to edify other people. So I'm excited. We have a podcast as well. The spotlight's on you, as well as speaking opportunities. If you want to speak, be heard, be seen, get your information in front of the masses. We have back-to-back, month-to-month virtual events that sets a platform so that you can share your products and your services. We also give all of our speakers a copy of the email list. Why? Because you need to follow up. And then we want to make sure that we give you value, and that's what Unity in Service represents. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, Raul, for having me. And I hope that my message will inspire someone to whatever you do, don't quit. Challenges have to come. Why? Because they set the platform for your success. And you must stand fast and go through the challenges, because the best is still yet to come. I'm Dr. Patricia Rogers, Visibility Strategist, and I am the CEO of Unity in Service, where people need people. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Dr. Pat. And you said two things, but before we get deeper into bringing back Brittany and having some conversations with you, we want to do this for you, but I want to say, just add on one thing here. You said this, and this is my way of saying it. What is meant for you shall never pass you by, and what passes you by was never meant for you. So this is also, you were talking about your conference, and I would love to play this for you.
Attention, all entrepreneurs, speakers, and business owners. Are you ready to elevate your brand, expand your network, and step into the spotlight? I'm personally inviting you to Entrepreneurs Living the Dream 2025 Speakers Conference, live in Atlanta, Georgia, at the DoubleTree by Hilton, near the Hartford Airport. October the 17th, Unity in Service has virtual speaking opportunities. And on October the 18th, we will be live and in person. This is your chance to show up, stand out, and get seen. Whether you're an entrepreneur, speaker, or if you want to be a sponsored vendor, this event is designed to put you in the room with movers and shakers. Business owners, don't miss your chance to be a part of this family reunion. Secure an early bird special and get your products in front of the room full of buyers. Lock in your spot now at the link below this video. Speakers Conference 2025.eventbrite.com. Your future clients and collaborators are waiting. I am Dr. Patricia Rogers, Visibility Strategist, host, and organizer, and we want to see you in Atlanta. Woo. Thank you. Woo, 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 woo.
Amazing. We are all excited to be part of this with you. I see some of your fans are on here. We have Jean. We have, I think this is
Hi, G, Gail. Oh.
Patrick is here, and then you have
Tamara. Yes.
story, Dr. Patricia Rogers. Keep shining. Your story is your glory. Others are better for hearing. Let's rock. Let's see what we have here again.
Awesome.
Scroll up.
Thank y'all for coming.
Okay, when he was telling your story, we have Viva Missed Child. This has been happening from the past to now. I think when you got out, amen. Oh my, sounds like corporate America. We have Marcines giving you some love. We have Midnight Queen Cabichet giving you some love as well. So you have some of your fans and everyone showing you some love. So you said Dr. Pat, and we had one person said that sounds like corporate America. You know,
Yeah.
you know those promises that happens, because I ended up being part of the financial industry back in 2012 all the way to 2016, and we all know where you go on from being an agent to a financial advisor to a FSP, or directly going into a partner, then a senior partner. And you know, this thing takes years, and the promises go on, and the backstabbing, and you are next in line, but some just got hired, but they got hired for your position. So, you know, in that sense, when you spoke about these things, like, what would you advise people when something like this happened to you and they're hurt? Now, remember, you're built in a different way. Many are not, because I just recently had some interactions for the past, for let's say from December coming up, with some people under the age of 30, and I realized the things that stresses them now and send them into mental depressed places are things we would have looked at and be like, all right, we made it through, we pulled ourselves through, we didn't even end up in depression, but they are. So let's say we are talking to the people under 35 in corporate America, or all these things. What your advice will be for them?
My advice, first of all, for anybody is that when you get a job, the first thing they need to do is read the policies and procedures. A lot of times we listen to other people and they can tell you this is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to do. But the reality of it is, when you read the policies and procedures, I'm going to tell you, it's a trick behind that. A lot of administrators don't know what the policies and procedures say because they don't take time to read them. So what happens is that you win, but you must also stand up for yourself based on the policies, because there are rules in the policies as to what you should do if you want to file complaints, if you're written up, if you're absent too many days. All that stuff is in the book. But if we don't read it, then we don't know our rights, and we have rights, and we must not be afraid to stand up for our rights. We can be afraid, but still stand up, and that's why we have what we call grievances and personnel complaints and things in order to do that. They're there. So we have to learn, not be bold enough to use them. Win, lose, or draw. My thing with me is this: if I don't win, it's not going to be because I didn't try to fight. And that's by the book. I go according to the book. My daughter just recently lost her job at Delta, and she had just gotten a job, had straight A's, 100s on all her tests, and she gotten a job, and she used what we call FMLA. If anybody knows what that is, that's a process that you can use for medical reasons, and by law you cannot lose your job. But what happens is administrators take that personal when you take time off. Even if you don't have FMLA, you take time off, they'll pick on you for whatever reason they can, especially when it's somebody that has some personal vendetta and you don't even know it. They're insecure in their own skin. And my daughter lost her job. And of course, we got through that. God blessed her. She started working the very next month, went back to her old job. And that's what happens when you have good character, So she went back to her old job. And then she just told me just the other night, and this has not been 6 months. She said, Mama, she said, guess what? Somebody just called me and told me the gentleman that falsified my records and lied on my documentation, she said he just got fired. Let me tell y'all something. When you're going through what you're going through, stand fast, because that's why I say you got to trust the process. God knows, and he sees the hearts of the people. So when you're going through what you're going through, you got to go through it because it's to develop you. It's all in how we look at it. So when we look at it and we know that it's designed for us and we're not guilty, we didn't do anything to deserve it, it's because God is using us. And sometimes he has to use us to show people who he is. So keeping our spiritual life intact definitely goes in tail with mental, because a lot of stuff they took me through. Yes, I had some situations where I picked up alcohol. Yeah, I picked up alcohol and I started drinking, and I realized it put me to sleep and put me out of all my miseries, and I got hooked. See, so those things, that was traumatic for me in my time, but I thank God that I had sense enough that when I recognized first it had become a problem. Secondly, and the department didn't know anything about that. As a matter of fact, we had to write we could write something extraordinary that we did in our organization, and we could write something extraordinary that we did, and only one employee could get selected to get that award. It's called the Bachelor Award. Only one employee in 7 departments out of 142,000 employees can get that award. I wrote the document about how I recovered, and I put myself in treatment, and I recovered, and I talked about that. The job didn't know nothing about that. See, so my point is that I wrote it up, and when I turned it in, the public affairs office lady called me, Janelle. She knows me very well. She called me. She said, Sergeant Rogers, you sure you want to turn this paper in? She sent me an email. She said, this is very personal. Are you sure you want to turn it in? I said, yes, because they said they wanted us to write something that was outstanding. And based on the number of officers that have gotten fired, they have lost their lives, basically accidents, whatever. I know one lieutenant killed somebody because he was drinking and driving. So law enforcement, that's a major issue in those organizations because of the stress and the pressure that we go through. So that was definitely traumatic for me. But I told her, yes, please turn that paper in, because I cannot help other people if I stay in hiding. So of course she turned that paper in. Of course, with me being, I'm already the light of the organization because I'm going through all this drama, right? They're always picking on me. So I knew they was going to pick my paper. But they picked my paper, and that allowed them to sling the paper all through the chain of command to other people. But guess what? I ended up going down to the mayor's office, and out of 7 employees for the whole county, I was selected, and I got an award for my documentation for the Bachelor Award. I didn't win the $10,000, but I was in the running because of my paper, and they asked me questions, and I answered those questions. But I want you to know what that did for me. I didn't know that then. I needed that. I had to go through that. I had to go through that because I need this testimony today. I didn't know that, but God knew it. God knew it. So trust me when I tell you that was traumatic for me. And then some of those people that I initially started hanging out with, which started drinking in the first place, trying to be accepted, I got hooked because God said, it ain't where I want you. So he had to give me a double dose and let me learn the hard way. And he did, and I'm glad he did. Because like I said, if I had not corrected it, it could have cost me my career. It could have cost me my career. So I'm grateful that God got my attention, and got my attention the year 2008. I sobered up. And of course, 2009, I took that lieutenant's test. So God was already waiting on me. He was waiting to bless me. I just wasn't ready. I kept running and not. So I don't mind telling it. One thing I want to say about stories. Tell it. Because stories is what's going to help other people through what they're going through. And when you look at where you are today, when I am today, ain't who I was back then. It's not who I was. And back in the day, I would go to the therapist because, you want to get all this stuff on paper, because I was suing the department. I sued Dade County too at one time, And so the bottom line, you go through all this because you want to get all this on paper. That therapist told me, he said, I'd never in my life seen anybody accomplish as much stuff as you accomplished drinking. Because every time I went back, I had picked up another drink. He's like, did you drink? Yep. So all I'm saying is that it's nothing to brag about, but God did what he did for me. I had to go through what I had to go through. My family has alcoholism in the lineage. And I use that. Well, my daddy was an alcoholic. My daddy, my uncle was an alcoholic. But guess what? It doesn't matter how you get yourself in the mess. What matters is that you better get yourself out. And I thank God for deliverance today. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And I didn't get on here to tell all that, but you know what? I let God lead me and guide me. I didn't know what I was going to talk about tonight. I didn't know what I was going to. All I know is, okay, whatever, but I'm just telling you, whatever you desire, God does not hold things over our head. We hold it over our own head. God is a loving God, and he's a forgiving God. And if we ask him, he's always waiting to bless us. He said he reigns on the just as well as the unjust. And like I said, I'm not who I used to be, because the rate I was going, I could have been 6 feet under. And that's just a tip of the iceberg, the story that I have to share. I love the Lord. I love the Lord because he first loved me. And I loved him most of all because he allowed me to learn to love myself and stop depending on other people, men, when I say that in relationships to love me and take care of me. God is doing a heck of a job taking care of this old black woman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Whoop, whoop. Give me some energy. Come on, come on.
Woo, woo.
We love you, Dr. Pat, and thank you. You covered so many things because I know Brittany is eager to ask you some questions based on all that you said. But it's one of the things you said, and this is something that I tell people all the time. If you meet someone 10 years ago and you meet them back 10 years later, they are not the same person. You seeing that person and knowing, you could see them be, maybe they were cursing out someone, where they, as you say, they could have been drinking and falling down the streets. But when you see them 10 years later, they're someone else. As I tell everyone, it's from where you were to where you are now.
That's right.
And I love all that you have shared so far. Just to jump in, everyone is loving your story. We have Gail Dixon is saying you have served so many people by sharing your story. Shanaz is saying hello, everyone. We have, again, Gail Dixon, kudos to having the courage to speak from your heart. Dr. Pat's, thanks for being so open. This is very informative and inspirational topic. Wise advice, Dr. Patricia. All right, so before I leave you guys, this is amazing. And Dr. Pat, thank you so much. Brittany Pert is going to continue this conversation and ask you some questions.
Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you for having me. Hi, sweetheart.
Hello. Oh my goodness. Like, do people realize what a powerhouse that you are to be gracing us tonight on this program? That was phenomenal. And I know, like, you powered through it, and I know that there's so many deeper levels, especially when you're like, yeah, I did drinking, to kind of throw stuff under the rug. One of the questions that I wanted to ask or bring up is that journey of stepping into knowing your rights and standing for them. I know that's not, maybe it was an overnight thing, but often, within my own experience, it took me a while to get into that space of like, no, I need to learn my rights, and I'm not going to take this stuff anymore because now I know my rights and now I get to stand by them. What was that process like for you to really understand or begin learning your rights and then standing for them?
Wow. Okay. I hope I can answer that enough for you. I've never been asked that before. But what happened was that when I told you I took the exam because I wanted to be promoted to the first level of supervision. So by me taking the exam, I had to study the policies and the procedures because I hadn't really been studying it. Actually, I took the test once and I hadn't studied. And then I realized how easy the test was, and I failed the test. So I said I wasn't going to let that happen anymore. So I studied for the test because I wanted to pass the test because I realized it was easy, but I just initially said, let me take it, just see what's on it. And when I took it that year, that's when I was serious and I studied. And when I studied, having been in the organization 8 years, I not only saw some injustices that had been done to me, I saw some things that had been done to other people. And so, of course, then when I passed the test, that was during the time that I got into an affair with a senior person, and it went south because, of course, you know how that goes in the workplace. You don't go to work to mix all that stuff up. And then when I broke it off, that's when he came in. After I got on the list, then all the stuff started, the lies and the whatever. So I knew that what the policy said, and I knew what they was doing was wrong. And so, I sort of beat them at their own game. But you got to stand up for your rights. But the only way you can do that is you got to know what your rights are. If you don't know your rights, no, you don't have any. But when you know them, and I'm going to say this too, Brittany, for every person that stands up against you, there's always 2 or 3 that's standing behind the scenes, and I call those angels. And they're telling you, they're boosting you on. I would walk through turning in my grievances, and I got lieutenants and sergeants when I was over in a corner in the administration building doing one of these numbers because they knew I was turning in that grievance, So, and then I had one call me. I know you're not going to take this, right? So you don't never know who's covering you, but God always have people covering you. So you have to
Absolutely.
know the people you're connected to. And that's another thing when you talk about mental illness. People think that everybody, the whole world is against them, and they think their whole world is talking about them, but that's not true. It's always angels surrounding you
Hmm.
because and they have your best interests at hand, and it's going to always come through other people. God's never going to come down to my front door. I just had one of the ladies yesterday who's going to be that little blank space behind me. She's going to fill that space. She came to my house yesterday unannounced. She lives in Atlanta, and she knew that I've been sick and all of that. And she came over. She said, I just wanted to come and give you a hug. And she bought me some bubble bath and some Epsom salt bath to take bath because of the stuff I got going on here with this bronchitis. And I'm going to tell you, so that was totally unexpected. But everybody on that banner right there lives in other states and other places. I know they love me, but they can't get to me. But she was right. She said, I know I didn't call you. She said, but God told me you don't need to make no announcement. And I'm going in on that. My house is in shambles because I'm tearing up, I'm getting carpet put down. I'm getting all this kind of stuff. So everything's all over the place. But let me tell you something. When somebody love you, honey, it don't even matter about that. It don't matter about that. You know, so I just tell God, thank you, because he always sends somebody to show up when you need them most. And I want to say thank you to Gail, Jean, Tamara, everybody that I don't know who's here listening. This is what it's all about, loving one another, and we're not even in reach. But one thing I can say, love goes where nothing else can go, and we feel it. It's emotions and it's energy, positive energy. And I want to say thank you to everybody who took time to listen in tonight. And thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Oh,
and I
beautiful.
hope I answered your question, because I know I went on and on.
Yeah, that's wonderful on so many angles. But yeah, having that knowledge that to get through that situation, because it's not easy having someone spread lies about you, but it's like being resilient, getting it done, staying steadfast no matter what they try to throw at you, which it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. But the fact that there will always be people who are going, okay, you're stepping up. You had those people behind you cheering you on and being like, yes, you're doing the right thing. They're wishing they could do that too. And you're being an inspiration for them. So in one way, what I heard you speak is that this wasn't just for you. This was for them as well.
And I like that what you just said. And that's another thing. Like I say, when you know people are rooting for you, because you got always people whispering in your ear because they've been through something. And then also to the other, like the Bible says, don't let the right hand know what the left hand doing. People was whispering in my ear, and that's where I was getting my encouragement from. That's where I was getting my energy from. Yeah, they did this to me. And then what happened when I would come through my challenges, they was passing over other people, because it wasn't just me. They passed over other people. Guess who those people came to? They came to me because they say, we know you know the system. Help us. So when people came to me, so I realized what God was doing with me. He needed to use somebody to help the people through, because politics, as you all can see, it's a dirty game. And the same thing with workplace politics. It can be dirty, and everybody cannot. You're right. Everybody can't stand the pressure, but people need people no matter what. And I taught for even when I was fighting, standing up for my promotion, waiting on the process to go through. Every 2 years, I would go into the library in the community, and I would teach officers how to take the exam. And it's just amazing, how I stood through all of that. And sometimes I think about it when I'm by myself, and I just say, God, I thank you, and I never stopped serving. And that's why when we know that we're innocent, even when we're wrong, God takes it and turn it around, but the bottom line is we have to stand up for what we believe in, and know that somebody there, it's always going to be somebody we can turn to, and then of course we always utilize the procedures that are in place. And then my thing with this too is this, I'm going to say this to anybody that's listening. If you're going through corporate America challenges and politics, because a lot of people quit their jobs because they can't stand the pressure and they want to be entrepreneurs. Well, I'm going to tell you something about that. It's pressures in entrepreneur too. Because anywhere you go and it's people, you're going to have some challenges, because no two people are the same. Okay. So the bottom line is, if you have a job, stay on your job. I always say, if those demons can stay there and work, I have a right to stay there too. all the benefits of whatever we have coming. You deserve it too. So if they can stay there, I feel when every morning I wake up, I never took a leave of absence in 29 years. I never took time out of my job for a leave of absence because of what I was going through. They passed me over today. I put my uniform up. I'm going in tomorrow. And when I walk in, how y'all doing? How's everybody? Because see, you don't let them see you sweat because God got my back. It's a process.
Yep. And it sounds like you were empowered by knowledge and carried through by faith. And I think that's just pure excellence right there, to just really have that knowledge as that weapon to cut through the BS and then have God guide you the rest of the way through. So thank you for that.
Right. Thank you so much. Yes, you're on point. You're on point.
Rah! Welcome back.
I know, Brittany, you would have another question before you close. So I just wanted to personally come out here to let all of our people on the podcast know about Dr. Patricia Rogers. She's a really amazing person, and she puts together these great events, as you was hearing earlier. As she said, she puts together these amazing virtual events, and she bring people from throughout the world, not just the United States, or just she's from Atlanta. She's not just that place. It's all over the world. People come together, and she's been training some amazing people under her wing. And she get together with some amazing people like my good friend Margaret Tolley as well. She joins us here on Trauma Talk Thursdays now and again. We even had her as a guest on here. She's such an amazing and powerful person. I love her, and we met her through you. And thank you so much for that connection.
And Margaret bought her ticket this past week. She'll be coming from London. And Jasmine Ofori, Margaret is behind me in the black dress, right? And Jasmine is above Margaret at the very top. Jasmine reached out to me today, and she also has her ticket. So we are bringing people from Nigeria. We're bringing people from London. We're bringing people from Cameroon, God willing, and definitely Uganda. So wherever, we working on it. We working on it. And the events that we hosting, we was able to sponsor about 3 of them from this past event that we had. So ladies and gentlemen, when you see us working, it's not for me. And you said that, Brittany, this is not about me. It's about the people that God has put in our path to serve.
Amazing. And congratulations again on everything, Dr. Pat. And I want to tell you, thank you so much for joining us on Trauma Talk Thursdays, episode 52, to celebrate this closing of this season 1, this first year of these amazing stories. Now, I don't want you to go anywhere. I get off the stage, but you stay here and have a little 5 minutes chat with Brittany Purr. Again, Dr. Pat, you know I love you. And thank you so much.
I love you too, Raul. You know that. I'll see you on the stage. How about that? Yeah, thank you, Brittany. It was nice. I really appreciate you all for having me. You're muted. You're muted.
Sorry, the cat was meowing. Thank you so much. And I have 2 more wrap-up questions. First one is, what is one principle that you want to leave with our listeners?
One principle that I would like to leave is, number 1, is that you cannot have success without sacrificing something. You can't have it. You're going to have to give up something in order to reach the goal. And that's something a lot of us don't recognize. We're not losing anything. It's just that we're sacrificing whatever is getting in the way of stopping us. We got to move it out of the way and let it go. Even though it feels good, got to let it go, because your goal don't care about all that stuff that's going on around you. Your goals are telling you, get up. I'm waiting on you. Come on.
Oof. That one hit. That's a great one. And great distinction on telling people that they're not giving up on anything. It's moving things out of the way so that you can rise. So that landed. Thank you so much. And then one more question is, let's repeat the link for the event, and where can people find you?
The link for the event, the link for the...
What happened? All right. I don't know what happened.
I don't know. She got cut off. I hope she hears us and she pressed the link and come back in. Okay, I have her link for her event. I will post it in the chat.
And do you have what's her social media? Is it?
Yeah, it's Dr. Patricia Rogers every single way, even on YouTube, on Instagram. I mean, yeah, Dr. Pat as well. And her business name is, hold on, let me get everything.
I see Tamara. Tamara put it in the chat if you want to highlight that.
Yeah, you can find Dr. Patricia Rogers every. Oh, there she is. She's back. You see, I told you.
Yay! Okay.
Wow, I'm so sorry. I hit the wrong button, honey. Trying to get. I was trying to make the screen wider. I don't know what I did.
Oh, no.
But yes, it would be on Eventbrite, and that would be Speakers Conference, and that would be 2025 Speakers Conference 2025.eventbrite.com. And I'm gonna tell you that information is in the description of this video on my Facebook page as well as my YouTube page. And of course, we're on social media 24/7. We're very big on social media. We do social media promotions for business owners. We have a team, and it is global. Our team is global, so when we promote for you, we promote for you. And so they can find me anywhere. We're live, and we just all over the place. TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. There it is. Somebody wrote it. Speakers Conference 2025.eventbrite.com. Thank you so much, Obscuram. And that's me. Yeah. And all the tickets are early bird tickets now. And everybody that comes to this conference will be having their lunches included in whatever ticket price they buy. If you're a vendor, if you're a speaker, if you are just an attendee, everybody's going to get fed. We're asking God for 150 people. That's what we're asking him for. And we're going to work to get that. And we're going to have an awesome time. And then on that third Friday, we're going to have a virtual event for those people who cannot come, that we have a virtual. And then that Saturday, we'll be going to close off with the live in-person event. So we're excited. We're excited. A lot of freebies, a lot of gifts. Everybody that comes will get a copy of the email list. I mean, because we want people to pick up that 500-pound phone and build some relationships, because the money, people have the money. And if we don't do the work, we leave the money on the table.
Exactly.
And I hope that you're going to be there as well. We have speaking opportunities waiting on you. Yes.
Yep. Hopefully I'll be able to make it as well. So, and then everybody can find you online under Dr. Patricia Rogers.
I'm on Facebook, Dr. Patricia Rogers. I'm on LinkedIn, Dr. Patricia Rogers. My website is drpatriciarogers.com. Get a free gift if you go there. 11 tips to get speaking gigs now. And of course, I'm on TikTok, everything. Branding is everything to me. And I want to remain the same. So wherever y'all go, I'll be in a red dress, Dr. Patricia Rogers, all one word. And that's right. So thank you, Jean. People need people no matter what. Thank you. And thank you all. Thank you so much, Gail, for coming. I appreciate all of you. Tamara, all of you. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you for joining us tonight, for being that powerhouse, for bringing that energy. And yeah, this was amazing and incredible. And I really pray that people will take on the opportunity that you have that is coming up around the corner. And also hopefully they will join us for our event that is happening a little later on down the line. And once again, for those who are listening, follow, and share. Go check out Dr. Patricia Rogers and what she has going on, and stay connected to our community. Connection is prime real estate right now. Having connections, creating community is so valuable and so vital in this day and age. Stay connected, stay plugged in, and stay nourished with stories of resilience so that you too can be resilient in your life. So don't forget to share this with someone that really needs to hear this message. We love you all. Thank you for joining us. One year.
Hi, Cynthia. Cynthia just showed up. Roosevelt. And this is my golden mic moment. Thank you all for having me, Raul. This is my golden mic moment. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much.